heute tanzen durchtrieben. Du kannst es hören, du kannst es fühlen. Das rote Licht ist uns geblieben. Das rote Licht ist uns geblieben. Wir tanzen hinter rotem Glas. Das rote Licht ist uns geblieben.
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Box 3 Recovery Drive on Thursdays. You know it's here. I am joined by a great crew tonight. Mr. Anderson returns. Alex, the man, the myth, the legend is back. And for the first time joining us, Mr. Chief Blaze. Welcome in, sir. Thank you so much for being here. This is absolutely fantastic. I love this show now. I absolutely love it. I don't know why, but I like getting to talk about this stuff with you guys. So we're going to get right into it, though. We've got a lot to cover this week. We're going to talk about Zolder last week. We're going to talk about the upcoming race at Watkins Glen. We're going to go through the standings and, of course, our rig, roast, and review. So let's get to it right now as we get a couple highlights going. Gentlemen, how are you this evening? How are each one of you doing? We are... Excellent. What new car are you driving? Okay. Oh, there you go. There you go. Mercedes gonna. Are you now? But I heard you talking before the show. Like, do you feel like you might jump into it next season? The way it sounded. And we're watching Chief try and figure out his camera angle. He's got it going on down here. Poor Chief. Alex, how are you this week, sir? They're saying there's an audio bug, which makes no sense because it says it should be fine. Hold on, I'm gonna fix it. I don't know why we can't hear you guys in the stream. Yeah, hold on. I don't know why. Hold on, guys. We're gonna fix this. This is ridiculous. Well, I don't know why it's dumped over to the wrong thing. We're gonna fix it though. All right, one of you guys talk for me, please.
How about now?
There we go. Now I know you guys can hear him. Thank you. I don't know what happened. It got stupid on me for some reason.
Oh, now my bald head is shining with this light.
It's fine. You're all right. Don't worry about that.
We're all good.
Alex, I'm sorry to interrupt, man. We got screwed up by audio issues. Man, how's your week going? We saw you guys saw that I blasted Alex in the iRacing race last weekend. How was your race at Zolder, though, overall?
Overall, I mean, it was eventful. It was eventful.
That's the way to put it.
Just Zolder stuff. Getting loose out of the second chicane. Touching the wall, riding the wall, touching the wall, just older stuff.
Now, because of you or because of other people, though?
Oh, 100% hitting, riding the wall. That was all me.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Can relate. Can relate.
Yeah. It was definitely a skill issue.
Gotcha. Okay. And Chief, what about you? How was your Zolder race overall, sir?
I wasn't there, actually. I was gone.
I thought you did race this past weekend.
No, I was at my buddy's wedding, but I
Oh
watched it.
shoot! I thought you. Well, maybe that's why, because I saw you in the chat.
I
I thought you
watched
had raced this weekend.
my boy Blue.
Your boy Blue took it for that class. Don't worry, we're gonna get to those results real soon. But there is
But no, I
one.
wasn't here.
There's one specific one I want to talk to you guys about, and we're just watching some highlights right now just to keep this thing moving along and see a little bit of content from the race. But there's one I want to talk to you guys about and review with you. And I am sharing my screen, so hopefully you guys can see exactly what I want to look at here from this past race. I believe it's this one. Yeah. So let me find this real quick and jump up here. It's one of these things where I'm gonna pick a driver, okay, but I don't want to focus on this driver, and I mean that honestly, because while this person began the incident, this was not my main focus. We're talking about Baker, okay, but again, Baker is not my main focus when it comes to this, and the reason I say that is because as I get forwarded here a little bit. And let me pull back to the aerial view. We're going to focus on number 30, Jay Baker. And I want you guys to watch this as we get to the chicane. But as I said, don't focus on him. I'm focusing on him because he was the genesis of this incident. However, there's a bigger problem I see when we get there. Now, a lot of this we're seeing up front. I think he's trying to avoid trouble. A little bit of back and forth, a little bit of door rubbing, no big deal, right?
4 wide there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the guy's really just trying to stay out of trouble at this point. Turns a little bit in there, again, a little bit of a door bang. But watch this, and Baker's gonna hammer hard into the chicane. Now, first of all, watch the brakes, because it seemed to me he had a good brake point. However, he had a choice to make, and he cut it inside. But let's back that up real quick. I'm gonna pause that. We're gonna take away the HUD. And we're going to back things up real fast. I want you guys to watch the drivers who are not yet into the chicane. This is what bothered me while covering the race on Sunday. So Baker comes across. There are guys not even in the chicane, but look at this, what happens afterwards. A bunch of drivers just continue to hammer down into this corner, seeing what they saw coming in front of them. Am I wrong there?
So you're saying don't do that?
Well, what I'm saying is I understand when the incident first occurs, right? So when we get to this point and this incident first occurs, let me slow down the playback speed real slow. Like right here, you know, number 92, these two guys may be coming into the chicane right here at the top in the first corner. Maybe they don't have the reaction time to be able to back things off. Okay, that's entirely possible. I get that. But everybody behind them sees what's coming. So let me ask you guys, and again, because I sit on the outside, let me ask you guys, should these drivers that we're watching right now pile up into this incident, should they have been able to back off and find a way to not run into each other?
So, for starters, absolutely yes. You know, you when it's going down in front of you, like you pointed out, like 92 and the whoever they were side by side with going into it, I don't see them having ample time to react and be able to take, you know, cautionary measures for that incident. Everyone behind them, like you said, they see it happening, and you know, as a driver, I'm going to say this, you know, when in doubt, go flat out. However, also as a steward, I have to say that you got to get off throttle. You got to slow down. You got to be super careful with where you're pointing your car, because the last thing you want is exactly what you see in that video there, where you have a you know, 7, 8, 9, 10 car pileup that doesn't need to happen.
And that was my thought during the race, right? It wasn't so much the initial incident, obviously a huge mistake made there, right? But what I saw more than anything, if I get back to car 30, just because he's in the middle of the action, and as I said, I don't want to pick on Baker. It's more about understanding that these drivers back here, right? As we look pre-chicane at the top of your screen, it seems to me those drivers should have been able to slow down enough to not just pile into each other, right? And yet we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all coming into this as if there's nothing wrong, as if there's nothing going on in front of them. And that's why this was the one incident I saw this week that I wanted to talk to you guys about and understand, you know, what's going on in the driver's head, what's causing this pile up, right? Because we see these big incidents every week. I mean, we saw it at Coda the week, you know, we talked about Coda the week before into turn 1. We're seeing it now here in the chicane at Zolder, and I wonder how much of it could have been avoided. How much of this had to happen?
I would say, I mean, if you go back to like the beginning of it, I want to say from TG's point back, I think it's definitely within reason to say reaction time should be able to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably guess from TG's point of view, there wasn't too much going on at the time. Maybe like 2 cars were rubbing and maybe like bumping and getting a little sideways.
Now,
I can understand him. He's the red Audi.
Yeah, he's the red Audi coming in. So just to clarify, yeah, I want to point out TG is the red Audi. So, okay.
So I'm giving him, you know, obviously we're in slow-mo right now. Obviously with, you know, going real time, it's coming at him a lot quicker than that. But as Crow said in the chat, this was definitely an opportunity for some people to take some esports lines. Probably through the dirt on the on the inside there, to avoid the carnage and maybe even pick up a few positions without getting a ding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you probably would have gotten a track cut, but using a speed token is a lot better than getting 30 seconds of damage. So I mean, granted, like I said, a lot of it's just reacting in the, you know, the actual speed of the race. I think a lot of it is avoidable, like I said, probably from TG back. Probably a lot more realistic to say, like, you can see these people spinning around and there's a 5-car pile up in the middle of the apex. Let me take the esport line and go through the dirt.
Yeah. And I guess, like I said, that was why I wanted to bring this particular incident to this attention this week, to just show, you know, as you said, TG, the red Audi that we saw, maybe a little close for him to be able to avoid, but anyone behind that really should have had opportunity to back it off a little bit and find a different line that's not going to bind you up into this incident. And again, rewatching this, all I'm seeing is car after car after car just hammer into each other for no reason, right? So just something to bring not just to this group's attention, but the entire community that's watching this right now, just to be able to say, sometimes you got to slow down, right? Right? Like, back her down. We've seen this.
And the engineer is definitely yelling yellow flag, double yellow flag in your ear, you know, while you're going into the chicane. So feel free to take that as, I might need to use an esport line. I might need to use a speed token here to avoid some carnage. Or just go about my race.
You know, if I'm used to braking at 100 meters, maybe in the first lap, I should be braking at 150, right? Just to prepare for that especially in a position like this, in a place like this, where we're talking about into this chicane. I mean, everybody knew coming into Zolder, we talked about it last week. Coming into Zolder, nobody was worried about T1. Nobody was really worried about T2, T3. Everybody that was on the show last week talked about the chicane. Right? So, like, if we talk about that, and we're going to talk about Watkins Glen here in a little bit, right? So, I mean, maybe drivers should be listening to that and saying, you know what? This is the place I got to look for. It's not necessarily T1. It's not necessarily T2. It's, hey, there's this choke point on the track. Anything could happen. And again, I don't want to pick on Baker because Baker made a mistake. And is there a penalty for that? Absolutely, 100%. But Baker didn't cause, even though he was the genesis, he did not cause the drivers from TG backwards to lose time. They did that to themselves, I guess is my point, right? So that's just my thought on it and what I see. Maybe I'm wrong.
Absolutely. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So that was the incident of the week. Go ahead, Alex. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just affirming what you said there. I mean, it's it always sucks to see it happen. And again, not to bully Baker, uh, but a lot of that's really avoidable. At the same time, lap one, everyone's all just jam packed in like sardines,
Mhm.
and no one wants to concede a position. You could if you get a good launch, you're careful, you can gain 3, 4, sometimes 5 positions from the start on lap 1, and no one wants to back off and lose ground. But there's that line where obviously all those people involved in that wreck lost a lot of ground.
Mhm.
So I'd much rather lose 2 positions than have to go back to the pits for repairs. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
me.
Exactly. And I'm with you on that. So again, that's the incident of this week that I did want to review with you guys and just get your thoughts and see exactly, what your thoughts were on that, because again, I think a lot of the drivers that were involved in that could have avoided it if they wanted to. Everybody's pushing, but overall, I just think it's one of those things we could have slowed down a little bit and had a better time. So a little bit of the AM and Pro Am start of the race, couple of highlights as we get ready to talk about the standings after last week's race. Again at Zolder, Watkins Glen coming up round 3. I can't wait. Watkins is a lot of fun. We had some fun in the AM class race, as you saw there too. A couple drivers off track, a lot of bumping and grinding coming at the start of this race. Even in turn 1 and 2, which at Zolder you don't see a huge problem with. They're big sweeping turns. They're not really super tight. But we saw that in the AM class race during the course of this past week. So let's back out of this and get out of here though, and let's go talk about the standings after this past week's race. So let's start with our AM class. Joseph Huerta, Bruce Hopkins, and Tristan Jongendijk finishing on your podium. Michael Zwanenberg and Kenny O'Connor with your top 5. Tom Grantham, Michael Alheim, Adam Willie, Alex Martin, right there he is. He's with us tonight, and Zenith Ascendant finish out your top 10. So, Alex, you said you struggled a little bit, but a top 10 finish, 19 points, right? How do you feel about how do you feel about the race at Zolder in the AM class?
Wait, is that in class finish there?
It is. Yes, this is AM class.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, because I can say overall it certainly was it was not that well. Other than I mentioned earlier a nasty little encounter with the wall and another situation of kind of people not paying attention to yellow flags. I had a good race. It got kind of lonely after I made my pit stop. I was kind of just turning laps with, I think the closest car was about 5 seconds ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed it. I like Zolder. I'm not that fast at it, but it's a really fun track. And again, barring the incidents, I felt like when I was up in the thick of it, it was a lot of fun. It was good stuff.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad you had a good time. So there are our AM results from this past weekend. Let's go to our Pro Am. Your boy Blue taking the race. Now we don't see that too often. I gotta say, let's face it, Blue can be speedy in that Bentley, but he did a great job at Zolder, winning not only placing first in class, but winning the race overall. Adrian Banache in second, Josh Butler in third, Rick Pixel and Bob Charlton finish out your top 5 with Robert Kinney, James Bising, Matt Comiskey, Terry Driscoll with Paul Morris finishing out your top 10. The Pro-Am, again, the biggest surprise, and I don't want to call it a surprise as though he is slow. He's not slow. He's faster than I am. But your boy Blue, like, we usually see some incidents, we see some accidents, we see some, we see some overbraking, right? Like some lack of consistency from Blue that we didn't see at Zolder this week, and allowed him to, again, not only take best in class, but win the race overall at Zolder. So great job on Blue's part. I got to say that.
I just love this podium. It's a old school, like, box 3 podium. Blue, Poppin, and Butler. I mean, it's just like all the old school guys from season 1 just getting a podium together. It was great to see. I was celebrating everyone getting a podium there.
And what let me go back to AM class real quick. So if you look at this Pro-Am before I do that, a Bentley, a Lambo, and a Honda, right, sharing podium in the Pro-Am. If we go back to AM real quick, just to look at it, a McLaren, an Aston, and a Honda. Like, has the meta changed, or are we seeing a lot? I mean, again, looking at just this whole top 10, I see a lot of different manufacturers there, right? As we were in season 3, everybody's in the M4. As we came out of season 3, a lot of drivers switched to the new Audi Evo 2. Now, I don't know. There's a balance here that I like. We're seeing a lot of different manufacturers. Am I wrong about that, or does it look like something that we are actually seeing, that there's a lot of different manufacturers across the top 10s of these races?
No, that's very true there. My feelings are a little hurt that there's not more Mercedes up there, but you know.
I'm happy with
Yeah.
Bentley life.
The last update definitely saw some changes to certain manufacturers. I know the Aston got a pretty nice buff on their power.
At least.
I'm pretty sure the Honda got a little love too. The Lambo definitely got some power boost. The McLaren stayed the same if I remember the patch notes right. But the only real nerf that I saw was the M4, which was dominant for like all of season 3, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Honda's the new OP car, so the rumor mill says.
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing Hondas towards the front, so I can't argue that, I guess. I don't know. I don't drive the Honda. But it seems to be performing better than we saw in previous seasons. So I'm not going to argue that point, that it seems like it got a bit of a boost with the latest BOPs that have come out and making adjustments, right? So very good. That's our Pro-Am. Let's jump up to silver class. Alejandro Aguilar, Delilah Hazel, again, another race. And this is what I find, and I want to talk about this in a minute. Let's go through them. Lee Dorman finishes off your podium. Rian Lord Davis in P4. Mike Jones with the top 5. Pickett, Petrovic, Seabuk, Hepburn, and Bardari are your top 10 in the silver class. Delilah Hazel with another good run today. Got tied up a little bit during the Zolder race, able to get it back up there into P2. But this is one difference I see is as we come into the silver and the pro class, we see more Audis. Now, is there a reason for that? Is the Audi, I don't know, more difficult to drive? Is that the problem, that we only see them at this level? Because there's none in the AM and the Pro-Am class, finishing in the top 10.
I mean, I could say from my personal experience, it's a little twitchy for my liking. Feels kind of Porsche-like if I were to try and make a comparison, which isn't really my cup of tea either.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to enjoy things like more stable in the rear and more on rail, which is why I like the McLaren so much. But yeah, I mean, it could just be driver flavor. I don't know.
Yeah, I notice that every week. Go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I just wanted to point out the fact that not only are there 2 Nissans in the top 10, you have a Nissan taking home the class win. Like,
True.
That's awesome.
Again, not something we see too often, right?
Right.
I would say that Nissan being up there is not something we see too often. So, absolutely. So, again, Aguilar driving that Nissan. I hope these drivers stick with the same cars throughout the season. Some of them like to change. But it'll be curious to see if Aguilar can hold on to that in that Nissan. It's not going to be something we've seen too often, finishing top of class in that vehicle. Let's move on to our pro finishes. Wilson Fernandez in the BMW M4, Dimitri Athwal in the Honda, and Nathan Edwards in the Bentley Continental GT3. If that's your podium, Tom Foose, John Gray finishing out the top 5. Zagorski, Charlie Booth, Andrew Haynes, Anthony Anderson, and Dave Alvarez Jr. round out your top 10. So again, we got another Honda in the top 3, another Bentley. No Audis this time. Audi finishing in P6. But, what a race this here. And again, my overall take is it seems to change what we see at the top of the list, or what we see in the top 5. seems to change depending on class. Am I wrong about that? I mean, that's what I'm seeing here is, yeah, Hondas are kind of spread all over, but we didn't see any Audis in the Pro and the Pro-Am. We see Audis in the top 10 and finishing in the top 3 in the Silver and Pro class. Right? And why is there this difference between manufacturers from bottom classes to top classes?
That's a good question.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, God, you're good. You're good.
Let me scroll back up to the chat here. I noticed someone really pointed it out that the meta doesn't really mean as much. I believe it was Whelpcake said this. Doesn't really mean as much when you're in like the Am and the Pro-Am. It's not how fast the car is, but rather how fast you are in the car.
Okay.
And so
And survival.
and survivability, yeah. So I think you see a lot of variation there just because you have people who are not necessarily picking cars that are the fastest, but they're the cars that they want to drive, and they're pretty good at it,
Okay.
and of course anything can happen on track. So, you could go theoretically from last to first, and it's just how it plays out. Once you get into the silver and the pro, you have guys who are not from this world. They're just absolutely bonkers fast, and so you start to see some of the same cars making an appearance in like podiums and top fives and such.
Gotcha.
And shout out to Whelpcakes.
So you're saying the more they're picking the vehicle because that's the faster vehicle, that's the faster car versus this is the car I'm comfortable in.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that making sense. Sorry, I
What
had
was
to
that?
cough and I was I had to cough and I was muted on stream, but I was not muted for you guys because I can't hit 2 buttons at once. So I apologize. It took me a second there. It's still carrying a
Quick
cold.
pause.
Yeah, quick pause. Let's go to the standings after 2 races. Tristan Youngdyke leading our AM class with Bruce Hopkins and Kenny O'Connor right behind him. Hopkins very close, only 3 points separating the two. And guys, I apologize. Give me 1 more second.
He's dying.
He's got the mute this time.
Yeah. Molson's dying.
If I could hand you one through the screen, I would.
I might die before this stream's over. Again, our AM class drivers, Tristan Youngdyke, Bruce Hopkins, Kenny O'Connor. Let's go to Pro-Am leading the standings now. Rick Pixel and Matt Comiskey only 1 point apart, and Josh Butler only 5 points back from there. 2 M4s and a Honda playing for the front line in Pro-Am standings so far after 2 races. Silver class drivers, Delilah Hazel continues to lead with 92 points. Alejandro Aguilar right there. And Lee Dorman. Again, not a ton of points separating these guys. It's early in the season. Let's take a look at Pro. Dimitri Athwal with 79 points. Charlie Booth with 66. And Tom Foose with 60 points across 2 races. Sorry, folks.
Unacceptable.
I'm doing my best here after with this cold. It's driving me crazy. So those are your current standings for season 4.
Oh, did we lose him again? Oh, there he goes.
It's not that bad, honestly. You're
Eh?
good. You're good.
You're doing pretty good at muting both.
Yeah, you're no complaints. I mean, I can find something to complain about.
My goodness. What is going on? Rich, drink some water. I got water. There's ice in this, so don't worry about it. We're good. I can't believe I don't have a Halls on me. Anyway, back to it. The standards
There's
are
ice in this.
we're good. Don't worry
See,
about
I
it.
told you, Retro.
Yeah, see, he gets it. So standings are forming up, right? But a lot of close. Again, only 2 races. I think we have 6 rounds total. Really
Seven.
the silver 7. Okay, 7, but really this where was it? The Pro Am 1 and 2 separated by 1 point, and even P3, Josh Butler sitting only 5 points back from P2. Very close. And your boy Blue with that finish this week, only 1 point back from Josh Butler. So early in the season, I get that.
Consistency.
But I mean, yeah, that consistency is what's going to put you there. You're right, Chief, 100%. Now, Blue, if we see here, round 1, P11, round 2, P1. So we got to see if throughout the rest of the season, if Blue can get that Bentley under control and gain that consistency. And hopefully that's what's going to happen. I'd love to see Blue do well. I think he's been doing great in the Pro-Am class, and we'll keep him there. So, and that is it for standings. So let's move on. I cannot wait for this. This is my favorite every week. We're going to talk about rigs. Who wants to talk about sim rigs and what people drive? We got 3 to review this week. A total of 3 I pulled.
Can't wait.
Let's bring them up. Centurio Butz is first. Look at that. We've got a Rig Metal Plus rig.
Damn.
SC2 Pro, a Sim Magic GT4 C rim. And I'm going to pronounce this wrong. TG's going to yell at me later. Hussingveld sprint pedals. It's a nice little setup he's got going on. I mean, the ultra wide monitor, right? Like everything looks very, very tight. Maybe a little cable management. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is he doing Truck Simulator in that picture?
Simple and
Yeah.
effective.
Yeah, he's doing truck sim. Hell
A
yeah.
massive screen. Oh
It
my
is. That's a
goodness.
huge screen, right? Like that's wrapping around him with just being one monitor versus the 3 that some of us race with. So that's pretty
Yeah,
fantastic.
I appreciate
Looks better
Retro's
than my
co-
monitors, but-
I like Retro's comment here. Cable management isn't real with this setup. I agree with that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's whatever you got going on, but I think cable management's important, but it looks good to me. Whatever.
You can mitigate the mess,
You
but
can.
when I'm
Well,
racing,
that's
I
okay.
could care less if my cables are hanging out there. I'm focused on
True.
what's coming up on track. So
Well, there's only so much you can do, I guess, is what you could
Right,
say,
yeah.
right? And Whelpcakes in the chat says cable management is for people who stare at the rig instead of use it. I guess I'm one of those people because I managed the hell out of my cables. I did my best. That you know, it's
You
not
don't sit in the
perfect,
rig,
but-
so it's true.
Well, you're not wrong. I'm not going to disagree with you, Chief. Come on.
I'm always waiting for a part, waiting for the next part to come in, and then one day it will be.
One day it'll be right, and I'll actually race things. But I showed up for iRacing this past 2 weeks. I'm good. Don't you? And I'll be there Saturday. So we're all set. So that is Centurio Butz. Again, a nice little rig he's got there. And again, Chief, as you said, that monitor is ultra wide. You don't need more than one when you've got something sitting that wide in front of your face. So
that's awesome.
that is
I'll
awesome.
give you $20 for it, man.
Vision is not a problem in Mr. Butts's sim rig.
Yeah, not at all. So
I
let's
mean, I
go
want
on.
to play some truck sim in that.
I haven't done
Just
truck sim.
saying.
I haven't done
That's
truck
great,
sim.
I love it.
I should try it sometime. I should absolutely try it. Let's take a look at the next one though. Chief Blaze, let's go right here.
Yeah.
He's with us
Oh,
tonight.
let's see this.
I was so happy. So a wooden box rig. I
Yes.
want everybody to look at
Oh,
this.
I love
This is the most
this.
fantastic rig I've ever seen. So he's got a wooden box rig, right? Appear to be 5-pound weights for stability.
They were
see him-
10.
Yeah, like you see them sitting there. I don't know if
10.
they're tied in or anything like that, but they, I mean, a little
They're zip tied.
zip tied. Okay, so a little extra
Yep.
added weight to ensure stability, and then
Yep.
some sort of TMX wheelbase. What do you drive now, Chief? I know this. You know, you posted this because this is what was at the time. However, actually, I don't even know that this was at the time when you posted this because I know you've upgraded a little bit since then into a seat
Yeah.
and everything else. But I had to take this picture and use it, especially knowing you would be here tonight. This is just fantastic.
So good. Yeah, those were the original pedals. So there's there's the all the way travel. There's no resistance. And then on the couch, I'd be about 5 feet, 10 feet back by the end of the race.
The weights didn't help with that. They didn't hold it more, like a little more stable.
And I would, I'd pick it up off the ground a lot when I was trying to turn. So it was, yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. So what's your wheelbase? What is it? I know it says TMX on it. It's a Thrustmaster what, though?
It is the TMX, yeah, the base, just the whatever their base one is.
Okay.
Looks like the
Lowest
TMX
of
Pro.
all.
Looks like
Yeah,
the one
TMX
that
Pro.
that's the setup I had before I switched.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, I like. Yeah, listen,
Still have it.
I was the same way when I started. You put because and Chief, you said it right. Like you get into sim racing and you're not 100% sure that it's something you're going to want to do long term, right? And so you're like, okay, I got to buy this. I got to spend $300-400 on this wheelbase, on these pedals, but I'm not going to buy a rig and I'm not going to buy a seat and all these things when I don't know if I'm going to stick with it, right? Like, why am I going to spend all that money when I don't know that this is what I want? And so, you know, we talked about it before the show. That's what you said you wanted to do. And so you're like, yeah, this works. Screw it, right?
Yep. Yeah.
I'm down with that. And I know, and as I said, what do you sit in now though?
The GT Lite, and then I upgraded to some TCLMs. I still have that wheel though.
Okay. So again, a little bit upgrade, right? And one Nut Wonder in the chat asks, Molson, didn't you fall asleep in a random chat this past week?
Happens every week.
Deny it. We all saw it.
I did
Happens
not.
every week.
Wait, no. Hold on. I did not fall asleep in a chat in this past week. I left myself in a VC and went to bed.
May or may not have heard snoring.
Not this week.
You were live streaming
Hold
for
on.
like 8 hours.
Because I went to bed. I just left it on. Now, to be fair, I will be honest. I believe both Chief and Red have heard me snore in a VC. If I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
Chief, you'd have to tell me.
Yep.
Yep.
We were in the middle of a conversation. You just stopped responding.
Yeah, I did. That has happened. I will admit it 100%. But this past week, I just left myself logged into the live stream and went to bed because I was fed up. So, to answer your question there, One Nut Wonder. And let's move on to the next one. Mr. Zap Brannigan, CSLDD, Porsche wheel, SimForge pedals, a modified Logitech shifter. His PC is a Core i7 4790K with a 3080 Ti and 16 gig of RAM. This rig looks very confusing to me.
It looks like a spaceship, like cockpit.
Right? Like,
I mean, he's high all the time, so he probably thinks he's in a spaceship.
It's like you're trying to play Elite Dangerous, bud. Come on.
right?
I mean, the man does have a channel redeem thing that's called Fat Rip, so
I guess, but I guess I'm trying to figure out in looking at this where, like, are those screens down below the dash as well as above the like, did he build a cockpit around triple screens?
Indeed, he did.
I believe it's triple screens with two small monitors. One might actually be like a tablet or something, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And like I know one's his Twitch chat, and I think one might be like his OBS or something like that.
Gotcha. Unbelievable. Like, this is and here's the thing. I know, I'm pretty sure, and I don't want to speak for the man. He will correct me. But Zap pretty much like welded this rig together himself, right? If I'm thinking, no, like the guy's a manufacturer, like he's a fabricator. I've seen the grills and the barbecues and everything else he's built. Like Cat knows what he's got going on, but it's just unbelievable to me. And there's a lot of LED action going on that I don't know that I could handle myself. It's bright.
This is after the Hoffman rig review. That thing is lit up too.
It is. You're not wrong. But this one's got, I don't know. There's a lot of colors there. Huff's was at least all one color. Once you adapt yourself to it, you're just fine, right? There's a lot of color going on here, but Zap has got it built out. I've watched his streams. Good dude and a fantastic rig sitting there. I just don't know if I could figure it out. I would be confused sitting in it, I think. But that's on me. Yeah, Retro Coffin in the chat says needs more RGB. like
Agreed.
But look, the pedals are lit up, right? Like the pedals are lit up. And if you look, there's green back here on the floor at the bottom, in the bottom picture. There's yellow over here. There's blue around the screens. I can't figure out what's going on. Scary. It's very scary.
It's his own creation.
It is. And it's fantastic. I love it. I love it. I wish Zap were here right now so he could hear us talk about him. Poor guy.
Pretty damn cool.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
All right, guys. Well, those are our 3 rigs for this week. Don't forget, folks, if you're watching, post your rig pictures in the Rig Roast and Review channel. We're going from the very beginning all the way through. So we'll get to you eventually, but make sure you throw your pictures up there and you will be featured on this show. This week we had 3, last week 2, who knows, whatever I make up for next week, we'll get them in here and we will continue down through this. But let's talk a little bit now about Watkins Glen. Who wants to talk about Watkins Glen?
I could talk all day about it, but I'll let Alex and Chief talk about it if they want.
Well, first of all, okay, so which of you are racing at Watkins Glen this weekend? Are all 3 of you racing, or is somebody missing? Okay, so everybody's racing at Watkins Glen. So let's start with Alex, and we'll go round robin in where you guys are on my screen. We'll start with Alex, over to Anderson, down to Chief. Alex, what are you waiting for Watkins Glen this week?
I'm ready to hit it, man. I love that track so much. It's this and Silverstone I'm really looking forward to, and I believe I said it on the show before the season started that I was so stoked when they added Watkins Glen in the American Track Pack. This is going to be good. I'm hoping it's not going to be dicey like Zolder. The S's going uphill can be pretty sketchy side by side. But I don't know. You have a lot of high-speed corners, big braking zones. You know, it's a nice flowing circuit, in my opinion. Some might disagree with me, but I think we're going to see some really, really good racing, and I'm just ready to put my foot in it, man.
All right, very good. What about you, Anderson? What do you think?
I'm sharing a lot of similar statements to Alex there at the end. I think it's a great flowing track. It's a great racer's track. It has quite a few overtaking zones that you can try and make a move on someone. Especially with how late you can break in some of these like windy, sweeping corners that you can do. I think there's going to be a lot of crafty overtake attempts that we're going to see. So I'm looking forward to that. But yes, I'm ready to crack down on this track. I'm definitely finding out in practice this week that this is arguably one of my best tracks to run. I've been looking at some times of Resident Aliens, and I'm pretty close. So I'm looking to crack at it and see where I finish. Make up for last week, because last week was abysmal.
All right, Chief, what about you? I mean, I don't know that we've seen you race at Watkins Glen yet, so what are your thoughts? What are you looking for when you go there this weekend?
I mean, pretty much same thing. I've really only raced it in the NASCAR Cup car, so I'm excited to bring out the Bentley, which is a lot like a NASCAR Cup car. You know, it's big and it doesn't stop very well, but it's fast, and I like the track a lot. It's really easy to get in a groove, so I think it'll be fun. Hopefully there's not too much mayhem, but I also feel like there's plenty of room to avoid, you know, if you back out in some of the places of the track, you can overtake later in it, you know, if you survive. So just playing or racing smart. So
with all that said, I mean, it seems like all 3 of you guys are very pumped to get on this track this week to show what you can do. The only experience we have at Box 3 with Watkins Glen was our 3-hour race that we did a few weeks back, right? During the course of the summer. Now, we saw an incident happen where a driver got sideways going up the hill after T2 or 3, right? And come into that uphill section. Now, yeah, T3. Thank you, Alex. Now, this driver did their job. They got bumped, whichever it was. And again, this is not about assigning blame, but they set themselves down, they held their brakes, they sat still. And we saw a massive pile up because drivers did not slow down coming up that hill trying to figure out what was going on. So do you guys see something? I mean, is that something common at Watkins Glen that we're going to see that? I don't want to say during this coming race. I'm saying regularly. Where is that a case of, again, people not paying attention to the yellow flag, right? Paying attention to what's coming, or could that happen at a point? It's help me understand how that happened and how it's avoided in the future.
So
I think it's common but also avoidable. I mean, like we've talked about a lot already this show, it's just a matter of people not wanting to back down through the S's a lot of the time. But that said, there is room to race side by side there, but it's sketchy, so you better be damn confident that who you're racing against and yourself are going to make it through. And I think that's a lot of the problems right now is just, relearning who we're racing with and, who you can trust and who you can't trust. And that's part of getting new people into the league every season. So, but I think it is common and it probably will happen. Hopefully it won't. Hopefully everyone's listening to this right now and you stay out of the S's, please. Don't spin around. But yeah, it's a race. So, anything can happen.
100%.
There is a blind spot there, especially if a wreck does happen and you're following someone going up the hill. It is a mega blind spot. So that's another thing to keep note of, especially, like Mr. Chief was saying, for the racers that are listening right now, please listen to your yellow flag engineer. If he tells you there's a wreck there, you should probably lift because you can't see where it is. But at the same time, you can race side by side through there. Like we were saying, just know who you're with, know what the capabilities of each other's cars are. Just work together, race smart.
Yeah, I mean, for those who aren't racers watching this, the S's they're flat out. You're going balls to the wall, and especially early race, you're on cold tires, and it's really easy to unsettle the car, especially if you're going full throttle. You back off, you get a little contact. It's so easy to get turned sideways, to smack the barrier, which is going to put you back on the track because the barriers are they're right up along the edge of the track through the S's. And so it's common. These pileups, they happen. But everybody on that track, we all need to make sure we're paying attention, listening to the engineer. I mean, for crying out loud, there's a little box on the dash of the car that says, double yellows. Yeah, it sucks to, like I said earlier, it sucks to back off, lose a position, whatever. But again, I'd rather lose a position or two than be out of the race.
Yeah.
So.
I just wanted to add, since Aguilar mentioned in the chat, there's penalties for not lifting. If anyone is watching and is part of the Box 3 Discord, there is an announcement about yellow flags, so feel free to take a look at that. I know we're trying to crack down on these huge, 15-car pileups because of yellow flags, so just throwing it out there.
Yeah, me and Anderson will come for you.
Well, I think this track breeds intensity pretty fast too, because especially through that first turn and upright until you get to the S's, you can be 3-4 wide, and then you have to sort yourself out pretty quick. So
yeah,
yeah,
because Watkins Glen, I mean, turn one and even turn 2, as you said, Chief, are pretty wide. There's a lot of room there, right? But it's as you head into that uphill section coming out of turn 2, you better figure it out. And you better figure it out awful quick, because if you don't, that's where the trouble is going to occur. Is right up there. So. And
you're flat out through too as well. So.
Yep.
I mean, know what you're doing if you're going to do it. That's all I'll say.
Better come correct is what Alex is getting. All right, guys. Well, with that, we've talked about Watkins. We talked about last week. We talked about the standings. What do you guys have for anybody watching right now that you want to just give them a nugget of wisdom before we move on this week?
Consistency, especially with Watkins. The bus stop will probably take out quite a few people, especially if people are going to try to race each other side by side through it. So just remain consistent, wait for your opportunities. I'm sure you'll get a free position here and there throughout the course of the race. Just remain consistent, keep your line, but race hard.
Excellent. Alex, what do you think?
Little nugget of wisdom. To quote one of my favorite drivers of all time, if you want to finish first you have to finish. So it ties right into with what Anderson said.
Oh, I'm waiting for Chief to come back with, if you ain't first, you last.
True.
I mean, I also have that philosophy, but
I was gonna say, if you wreck me on lap 1, I will ban you.
Oh,
I
It's not
Lordy Lou.
NASCAR. He won't put you in the wall, but he will ban you.
There you go.
If I wreck you, too bad. I'm an admin. You don't get to do it.
All right. Well,
Oh,
guys,
goodness.
before we close it out, a couple things real quick I want to mention. First of all, don't forget, coming up, our Spa 24 hours race is coming November 12th and 13th. I cannot wait for this race. Again, it's going to be more than a race. It's going to be an event. Get your team signed up now. And it's all for charity. It's all to celebrate 1 year of Box 3. If you have questions about the charity, how to do it, anything, I know there's a post on the Discord, but please reach out to me. I will be more than happy to help you. We have 0 teams signed up to contribute to the charity so far, and I'm hoping some race teams do this. Sign up with your local Children's Miracle Network hospital and join the Box 3 team. We really want to make this huge this year, and I absolutely cannot wait for it. Other than that, I'm going to start over down here with Chief Blaze this time. Chief, you got anything you want to talk about before we close out this week?
I guess just if you have iRacing, we're gonna start ovals on October 1st. 5 weeks of ovals.
Alex is all pimped.
You've never done ovals
He's all
before.
pumped
Now's
up.
a good time to come learn them with your Box 3 friends.
That's right. We are going to do some ovals. Chief, you do stream on Twitch regularly under Chief Blaze. What is it, 503?
Correct.
Excellent. So go watch Chief Blaze. Alex, what about you? Do you stream anything you wanna show off to the people before we go tonight?
Not too much. Chief just stole my thunder. Honestly, I was going to plug the upcoming Oval League there. So, I mean, if you got iRacing, come join us there. If you don't, and you're not part of our community, get in here, man. What are you waiting for?
Absolutely.
It's a fun time.
Exclamation box in the chat. Anderson, what about you? What are you doing?
Honestly, I've just been, like I said, practicing for this upcoming race. Working on streaming more often. Throw a quick plug in there. Twitch TV/One Rule for myself. But yeah, like Alex said, if anyone is checking out the stream right now and isn't part of Box 3, feel free to join. We're a welcoming group, and we'd love to have everyone join in.
Absolutely.
All skill levels.
All
Yeah.
skill levels, absolutely.
And that includes iRacing, because I am horrible. Horrible. And I still
We gotta start somewhere, Molson.
These guys let me race with them, so even poor Alex after I plow him into a wall, trying to make my choice. But
Robin's racing, man.
Back on ovals.
Anderson does stream. Let me see real quick here before Anderson does stream. Chief streams too. I gotta bring him up. Let me see if I can throw these into. I gotta go find you guys.
I definitely stream every league race, so if anyone wants my perspective during league races,
There we
feel
go.
free.
Are you gonna yell and scream at people?
Box, right? Yep.
No, I don't do that.
So
I
there's
do.
Anderson. There's his address. I'm gonna go grab Chief Blaze right now.
Where are you going? Drag me down there.
Yeah, bring me with you.
Thank you.
There we go. Gotta go find these links, guys. I will have lower thirds up for everybody next week, so we have it right in there. But there are the links for Anderson. If you want to watch Anderson and Chief Blaze, go follow those guys on Twitch. A lot of fun watching them race. They do other stuff. I know Chief does other things as well. Anderson's out there racing with the league and other things. And you can always watch right here. Don't forget, we're back, Watkins Glen this Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun here at Box 3 Motorsports. I can't wait. Watkins is one of my favorite tracks, not just because I'm in New York, because I think the track itself is a lot of fun. And so I absolutely can't wait for this race to kick off. You guys have anything else you want to share with the folks this week before we go?
I don't think so.
I think
I
I'm
think
good.
I'm good. I gotta pee. That's about it.
You gotta pee. Well, listen, everybody in the chat, Alex has to pee. We're going to cut this short right now tonight. And thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank you guys for being here. Again, don't forget to come back Saturday for iRacing. You'll get my perspective right here for our Tabuska? Did I say that right, Alex?
Tsukuba?
Tsukuba. There you go. Thank you. It's not in front of me. Sakuba.
Play iRacing, and I think I know that.
We got one race left this season for TCR, and then we are jumping over to Oval Racing. Chief Blaze is going to put that season together for us. After that, I want Rallycross because I want to take Alex on in either the Beta Light or the WRX. I don't care which. It's going to be a blast. But either way, come back Saturday for iRacing, Sunday for Watkins Glen. 2 races, multi-class racing here at Box 3. Thank everyone so much for joining us tonight. You guys are fantastic, and we will see you this weekend. Thank you.